So let's move to the next iteration, and we have iteration numbers. We did the evaluate user answer. The next iteration, originally I thought it's to calculate the score, but I'm still missing the feedback. So we can do calculate the score with that, or I need to add another one here and say iteration 6.5 or something, and say game screen calculate this user feedback to user, or maybe just make this 7 and update the others. So this is 8, 9, and 10. So we'll say feedback to user first, and then calculate the score after that, and then the stat screen, and then the enhancement. So we go to iteration 7 and 7.1 feedback to user, problem formulation. So we manage the feedback so far through logs, and we don't want to do the logs. In the mockup, there is a specific request for feedback. So we need two places of feedback. Provide feedback when user answers or responds to the challenge, the identifying the random note. So we need to provide feedback and when the game ends. We need also feedback when the game ends to tell the user that the game has ended. The testing scenario 1 is to provide, want to test all of them, so play a game to the end and see the end game feedback. We also can do tests similar to the previous one, answer correctly and observe correct answer feedback, and likewise if you didn't done it incorrectly, repeat scenario 2 with incorrect answer. So solution formulation. We have the model, and in the model, in this case, we need several data. If you look at the mockup again for the feedback, there is the sentence correct answer, which we logged, but we can display it, and we have done that before in almost every project. To display any text, you need to have a label. So we need to add a label, and instead of logging the text correct answer, we can put it in the label. The other one next to it is an image, so we need to display an image as well. And there's a third message for the feedback, which is where are you? You completed the first turn of 2, you completed the second turn of 2, or where exactly is the user, so we'll need to display that as well. And in the incorrect, it will be a different image, different text, but the where you are is the same. The challenge here is that when the user is waiting to hear a sound, there's nothing displayed. It only gets displayed when the user answers, and then it disappears to allow the user to listen to a new sound. Then when the user answers, the feedback shows, and then it disappears. So enabling that animation to appear and disappear is something, one of the complexity we have to face here. So in the model, we need images, and we have these two texts. And then the final one, there's an alert, and we're not worrying about the score, so there's nothing here, it's just some text. So in the model, we need image, feedback, image for correct answer and incorrect answer. And you can download those from the web. I downloaded a couple, or you can make your own if you're comfortable creating images. In the view, we'll need to add labels, and image view following the mockup. And then in the controller, we will need to make the view and the labels appear and disappear. And so we can use the alpha to alternate or to make them appear and disappear. And the alpha property, we worked with it in project number 2. If it's 1, meaning it's fully opaque, and if it is 0, it is fully transparent or hidden. So changing the alpha value from 0 to 1 will give us the effect of appear and disappear. And to display the alert, we will use the UI alert controller. So when do we provide feedback to the user? So when the user click one of the buttons, we go to the check answer, and it is in check answer that we evaluate if the answer is correct or not. So it should be in check answer that we provide the feedback to user. So feedback on the user response be done in check answer, and then feedback on end of the game to be done in end game function. So solution implementation. We'll need to add label for the feedback message, add label and connect as outlet, add label for the turn update and connect as outlet, add images to the project, add image views as 2. We need 2, one for the correct and one for the incorrect. 2 image views to the screen and set alpha to 0, and then implement the feedback display, which will require us, by the way, in the controller, and you will see that, to reset the turn by resetting the images and labels back to nothing, so allowing the user to stay. So we'll have that, implement the feedback display, and then implement the alert controller to provide the user a notification when the game ends. And then finally test and commit. Test and commit. So let's go ahead and try that. So first thing, we make changes to the storyboard. So we'll need to add some components. And I need to move all of these to the side a little bit. Yeah. So we need a label to provide the user with the correct answer or incorrect answer. So we'll delete the text on here, and then you can decide what you want the color to be. Then we need another label that will provide the number of turns, and then we need the images. But before I add the image view, I need to add the images to my project. So you can add the images directly to the project folder, or you can add them in assets. So in the asset, you can add an image asset, and we called it image for the guitar, the launch image. I probably should have called it launch image. But I have 2 images that I added, the wrong answer and correct answer. So I'll add an image set, and I will rename that image set, and I will call it correct answer image, and drag the correct answer image here. Then I'll make another one and I will call it incorrect answer, and drag the incorrect answer there. So I added a correct answer and incorrect answer. Then back to the storyboard, I can add an image view. So I'll add an image view and resize it so it is not on top of the label. So I need to, maybe I can have change the layout a little bit with the image in the middle. Yeah. And resize this so that it is aligned with the other label. And here is my image. So I'll choose the correct answer image here, and then I want to add another one, and we'll use a similar size and choose the incorrect answer image. So in the beginning I want to turn off both of them, so I go to the alpha and change the alpha to 0, and then go to the other image view and change it. So this is the first one. So it can be difficult to select since I put them on top of one another. So what do? We go to the document outliner, show document outliner, and you can select from the document outliner and change the alpha to 0. So now both of them are not there. I also can't see the label, although I did not make the labels alpha to 0, but I emptied the text. So when you have nothing in the label, nothing will show up. So that's another way to, since the label text will change, I don't have to play with the alpha. I just need to set the label to 0 or no, to nothing, or something. Now I need to connect all of those as outlets to the controller, so I can manipulate them from within the code. So bring in the assistant editor, and it might be easier to use the document outliner. So here is my first label, and I will add that as label answer. This is where the answer will be. And then the other one, label turns. So this is for the number of turns. And I go with the correct answer image, and this will be image correct answer. And then I'll go to the incorrect answer image, and this will be image incorrect answer. So I added all of them as labels, so everything is set on the view part. Now I can go to the standard editor and switch to the view controller to work on the controller part. So in the check answer, instead of answering on the log, I can use label answer and say text equal correct answer. And then I no longer need this log, so take it out. And in the correct answer, I'll say label answer the text equal incorrect answer. And I don't need that log. So how about the number of turns? I have the number of turns. The current turn, I have it in the turn counter, and the maximum number of turns is in the maximum number of turns. So if I want to display something similar to that, attempt or turn number this out of this, then I can use the localized string with format, or I can use the string injection. So I can do something like that. Let turn message equal and I can say that turn number, and then inject the turn counter out of, and then how many turns, so I can inject the maximum turns. So that creates that message, and then I can say label turns dot text equal turn message. So create a string of your message. This injection, since both the turn counter and the maximum turns are integers, there will be no decimals. So I don't. So I can use this without worrying about many digits like we had in project 2 or project 3. So we have those message turns, and let's see how this will work, and you will start to see the issues that will come up with that. Oh, I did not display the images, so I need to also display the images. So to display the image, I say if the answer is correct, then I need to set the alpha of the correct answer image to 1, and if it's incorrect answer, then I need to set the alpha to the incorrect answer image to 1. And then let's run again. I think you probably started to think what we will need to do after we run this quick test. So we start by playing the game. So we got a G, so let's answer G. So we got a correct answer. I probably need to make those in the middle, and then I got another one quickly. I didn't even get a chance to see it, and I got the second one. So let's do an incorrect answer. And you probably see what is happening here, that the first message did not go away, and the next one came on top of it. So I don't really know, and here is the end the game came, and nothing in there. So in addition to, I need to center all of those, the text in these two labels, I need to figure out a way to make it disappear. So to make it disappear, this happens in the play game, because once you call on play game, that's when you the previous turn is gone, so you need to remove all its effect and set the stage for a new turn. And that's the function really of resetting a turn. So we will need to add a function. So I'll add a function called reset turn, and call that function at the beginning of the play game. So in the reset turn, I need to set the image of the correct answer back to 0, the alpha back to 0, and the image of the, because I don't know which one will be displayed, so I'm just gonna make sure both of them are 0, and I need to set the label both of them to nothing, the text on both of them to empty, and the label on the turns, I need to set the text also to be empty. Alright, so let's see if this will, and I needed to, let me stop that and go to the storyboard. I need to make the text centered. So I'll make the text centered, and on that one also centered. So let's go. So we start the game, we get an answer, and notice here, because I turned them off, I don't see anything. So did something wrong happen? Actually, no, nothing wrong happened. But it's happening too fast. The actual feedback showed up, but because I immediately, after displaying the feedback, I immediately called the play game, I don't have an opportunity to see that actual image, because the image comes up and then disappears immediately when the sound plays. So in order, so I need to find a way to pause or to give me some time to see the feedback before we quickly move on to the second play game. So to do this, instead of calling play game directly, we will need to use a timer to pause for 3 seconds or 4 seconds and then proceed to the next turn. In order to add a timer, we use a library called timer. And timer is allow you to create an object that waits a certain time and then creates an event. In our case here, the events that we want to create is call the play game function. So I want you to wait the time, then launch the play game function. So I'll create that timer. You can initiate a timer and use all of it, but it has a function for situations that are quick like this one. So so we have a scheduled timer with time interval that calls on a selector, which is a function, and in a target, which is the class or the object, and the time interval is the seconds, and user info if there are any parameters that you want to display. There are also two other scheduled timer with time interval that uses a block to pass any calls that you want to use. And there is this one too that you can read and learn about them. I've used the first one. So first you specify how long you want to wait. So we'll say we wait 3. Where do you want to go? The target is this class, so I'll use self, which is the reference to this object. And then in the selector, it's the function name, so put the function name as a string. And then if there are any user information, no user information if there were parameters. And then do you want to repeat? Do you want this to happen every 3 seconds? Then no, I don't want it to happen, I just want it one time. And Xcode is giving me a message here. So it says that they deprecated the use of a string literal for the selector, and there is a different suggestion, so I'll just follow what it recommends. So it added this bound selector and provided the function name. So let's see if what this will do. So we started again, and then we'll give an answer. So here is the correct answer. Waited for the 3 seconds, then it played another game. When it plays another game, that's when we go to reset turn, which resets everything, then plays the random sound if we still have iterations. So this time it played the B, so let's do D so we get incorrect answer. And we'll give another one incorrect answer, and then it will be the end the game. So now we can see that the image is taking its time. I can see them and I can review it for 3 seconds. If you want to add more time, then you can increase that. The one thing that you observe is that the image appears abruptly. So you see it suddenly appears. So let's try to animate that image through the periods. I have 3 seconds and I am moving the alpha from 0 value to 1 value. Every time you have a change of value that's an opportunity to consider animation. So to consider animation, we need to include the change of value, the time for the change of value inside what's called animation block. So because this class is a view controller, I think we can have UI view dot begin animation. So there is a begin animation on the view object, which is our view, and we begin an animation. It's in the UI view and then begin animation. So in the begin animation, we define an animation block and we give it a name. So we can say image animation and no context. And you end the block with commit animation. Commit animations. So any change of value between these two, begin animation, commit animation, will be animated on the view. You have the option to set some animation properties. So if you say UI view set animation, you can set animation delay, duration, curve. If your animation, there are some repeats, transitions. I'm going to use duration. So animate the change of value over a period of time. Because the change of value of going to 0 to 1, I'm saying go from 0 to 1 over whatever amount. I have 3 seconds here, so I'll say 3 seconds. So go from 0 to 1 in 3 seconds. So it's going to slow down your animation block. I'm going to move this to the side. If you go to editor, and I think one of them can move you to the side, and then shift right, and then we'll run. So we started the game. We got an answer. So let's answer. So now you see how the image took time to come back, and then it disappears with another answer, and it disappears, and then the third one, and it takes its time to show. The text is showing quickly because I'm not animating the text. I'm just setting its value and removing its value. You can do the same for the text too if you want the text to take its time coming on and out with the image and have them both show up. Also set up the timer to be the same duration as the animation. You may make the timer longer. This way, after the animation complete, there's like a second or so where the user can see the result before it moves on. The last part of the feedback is the end game. So we want to display a dialogue like the one we have here in the mockup. I want to display this alert. And this is called UIAlertController. So instead of this end game log, I'm not going to use that anymore. I need to create an alert controller. So we'll say let alert equal UI alert controller. And to initialize alert controller, you can initialize it with the title, the message, what shows up in the alert controller, and then the style of the alert controller. So that's what we'll do. So the title of the alert controller, we're going to say end the game. The message will say for now, thank you for playing the game. And then the style, there are some specific values, so we'll use the built-in UI alert controller style, and there are two styles: alert, which is the one we need to use, or action sheet. So we'll use alert. So we created an alert controller, but that doesn't mean it will show up. First, we need to add a button on the alert controller. So we need to create the button. So we'll say UI alert action. I'll create an action, and then say UI alert action, and initialize an alert action with a style and handler. So the text is what show up on the button, so we'll say cancel, or okay, or got it, or thank you, and then the action UI alert action style, and there are default style, destructive, and cancel. The cancel style is already programmed to dismiss the alert controller, so I don't need a handler. This is similar to the handler we created in the sort function in project number 3. So if you are not using cancel, or if you don't want the default behavior, you can create your own action and put it in the handler. Here I just use nil because I don't have, I'm okay with just dismissing the alert. Then we need to add that alert action, the action to the alert. So we'll say alert.add action, add action, and then add the action. So this means that we created the alert, created the button, added the button to the alert, and then we're ready to present the alert. So we'll use the function present. And present requires a controller to present, and we have an alert, and whether you want the presentation to be animated, and whether you want to do something when the presentation is complete. So we want to present the alert. Yes, we want the alert. We want to animate. And when complete, we don't want to do anything. But if you, like in complex application, you may want to do something, so you add a handler to handle that as well. So let's see. So we started the game. Correct answer. Incorrect answer. And a correct answer. And then we should now see the alert saying end the game, which is the message, the title, the message, and then the alert action that we added. And then click cancel. It dismisses the alert action and bring you back ready to start a new game, and so on. So that completes this iteration. We did everything and we tested. We just need to commit. So we have the feedback to the user. So the last part is to implement the calculating the score, but that will be done in the next video. Let's commit and push. Completed feedback to the user, including adding feedback images, animating the images, setting up a timer to delay the next turn, and display alert controller. And push, and we're now ready to move on to the next iteration to calculate the score and set up the statistics.